Amazon is being investigated for a deadly warehouse collapse after tornadoes tore through the American Midwest last weekend. The U.S. workplace safety watchdog has 6 months to look into whether workplace safety and/or health regulations were violated. 6 workers were killed after a tornado struck the building in Edwardsville, Illinois on Friday evening, with peak winds at an estimated 150 miles per hour. Several employees told Reuters over the weekend that Amazon managers had directed workers to shelter in bathrooms after receiving emergency alerts on their mobile phones. At least one worker died there, according to his coworker. Meanwhile, some of the workers said they had their mobile phones, despite what they believed to be a company policy preventing them from having them at work. Amazon says there was no such policy, and that employees were told to shelter in place at a designated assembly area near a restroom at the front of the building. At least 45 Amazon employees made it out safely. Amazon has pledged to cooperate with the investigation, and officers are already on site at the destroyed warehouse.
UBS had a multi-billion-dollar fine slashed by a French court Monday. The Swiss lender was alleged to have helped rich clients in France evade taxes and fined €4.5 billion, or about $5 billion, in 2019. Now the penalty stands at a touch over $2 billion. Former UBS banker turned whistleblower Bradley Birkenfeld gave his reaction outside the court.
And I think what we saw here today was really a travesty of justice. It wasn't justice. The French taxpayers deserve much better than this. And UBS admitted they broke the law. So it's not a question of whether you're right or wrong. You're wrong, and you got caught.
However, a guilty verdict was upheld for promoting illegal banking activities and money laundering. The court found UBS guilty of soliciting clients illegally at sporting events and parties in France and of laundering the proceeds of tax evasion. Lawyers for UBS had argued in the appeals trial that investigators never found clear evidence of systematic wrongdoing. It had also said the original fine was disproportionate. UBS said it would quickly decide whether to appeal against the latest ruling. Fines in Europe for tax-related offences have historically been lower than in the United States. The UBS case was an exception to that and was closely watched by other banks.
Harley Davidson wants to capitalize on Wall Street's new love affair with electric vehicles, and so it is spinning off its electric motorcycle unit LiveWire. The iconic motorcycle company announced Monday that LiveWire will start trading on the stock market via a SPAC merger, or deal with special purpose acquisition company, AEA Bridges. The SPAC deal values LiveWire at $1.7 billion. LiveWire was Harley Davidson's attempt to win over younger customers and re-energize sales as its key buyer, baby boomers, age out of their interest in motorcycle riding as a recreational activity. LiveWire, in an investor presentation, projected it will see sales of 100,961 electric bikes by 2026. By going public, LiveWire will be the first pure-play electric motorcycle company to trade on the stock market. EVs are the hot trade right now as the push for green vehicles goes mainstream. Tesla's market value shot up this year, solidifying the company as the world's most valuable automaker by far. And last month, Amazon-backed EV maker Rivian shot past $100 billion in valuation in its market debut, surpassing Ford and General Motors, even though Rivian sells far fewer cars than Detroit's Big Two. LiveWire will trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol LVW. Shares of Harley Davidson surged 11% in midday trading.
You have seen the growth bouncing back to even levels before 2020, to more than the levels that we have seen in 2019. Why? It's not about the oil. I mean, the oil revenues comes to the treasury, and we spend what we spent and announce that we are going to spend. It's about a lot of efforts that the government have done to enable the private sector. Confidence is coming back. The level of consumption is coming back at levels way beyond even 2019. We are totally now decoupling the government expenditure from the revenues. So the cyclicality that we have seen over the last 10, 15, even 20 years has been helpful in certain areas in short term, but actually have been very harmful on the economy in the long term because there's no predictability. You stop and you start, you stop and you start. And the private sector was not finding it very difficult to plan. What we are doing now is we are telling our people and the private sector, our economy at large, that you can plan with predictability.
It was a jittery Monday on Wall Street with health crisis concerns emanating from Britain and investors awaiting an important Federal Reserve decision. The Dow fell 320 points, the S&P 500 lost 43, the Nasdaq tumbled 217. The Federal Reserve's two-day meeting will start Tuesday and wrap up on Wednesday. Investors are expecting Fed Chief Jerome Powell to officially announce a faster withdrawal of the massive stimulus put in place to cushion the economic blow from the health crisis. The meeting could also signal whether the Fed intends to step up its inflation fight by raising rates earlier than predicted. Phil Palumbo, Chief Investment Officer at Palumbo Wealth Management, says a tightening Fed is no good for tech stocks or other high flyers.
You're seeing an adjustment for the Fed being more hawkish. This is a big week this week, and you're seeing that adjustment in markets today. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these technology stocks continuing to sell off. A lot of these meme stocks, AMC, you've seen how big it's down today. And other type meme stocks really selling off. And that's what you're going to continue to see in 22.
As for those meme stocks, video game retailer GameStop touched lows not seen since April. That stock slumped 13.9% on Monday. Theater operator AMC languished at lows not seen since May. It tumbled more than 15% in one day. But it wasn't just meme stocks on the slide. The so-called reopening stocks plunged on news the fast-spreading Omicron variant now accounted for around 40% of COVID-19 infections in London and at least one death in the United Kingdom. Carnival and all of the cruise lines were down at least 4%. United was the biggest loser among the major airlines. It was down roughly 5%. Airbnb was down more than 5%.